This is the story of Pinocchio. Once upon a time, there was a lonely woodcarver named Geppetto who wanted nothing more than to have a son of his very own. Unfortunately, due to a certain medical condition, he was unable to have any. So instead, he thought it best to carve his own wooden boy and name him Pinocchio. Now, even a cursory look will show that this was not Geppetto's only option. He could have adopted a kid, or maybe became a foster parent. I'm not saying he was hiding anything from his past, but let's be honest. There are definitely some holes in the story. Anyway, that's not important. What was important was the Blue Fairy. She came down and brought Pinocchio to life, but not as a boy, as a puppet. Pinocchio was a very mischievous puppet. And by mischievous, I mean he never went to school, he stole stuff, he broke stuff, he'd steal stuff and then break it, he'd swindle the elderly. Anytime someone had something to say that he didn't like, he'd tell them to go themselves. So you can guess how these conversations went. And there was one more thing about Pinocchio. Whenever he would lie, his small wooden penis would grow and grow. Not something easy to hide. Every day, Geppetto would ask Pinocchio what he wanted most. "I just want to be a real boy." "Well," said Geppetto, "if you want to be a real boy, you're going to have to learn how to behave." Pinocchio answered, "That sounds like a bullshit story to me. You just want me to answer to the man." Pinocchio was steamed, which is bad news for someone made out of wood. But he ran into the Blue Fairy once again. "Pinocchio, have you been a good boy?" "Yes," said Pinocchio, as his little wooden boner started to grow. "Pinocchio!" exclaimed the Blue Fairy. "Yeah, it's kind of complicated, so I'll just leave it at that." The Blue Fairy tapped Pinocchio with her wand and said, "As soon as you learn to be truly good, you will become a real boy." The next day, Pinocchio was bored, so he stole a jet ski and headed out to carve up some waves. But when Geppetto heard of this, he became worried, so he took his boat out to go look for him. Pinocchio came back in a few minutes, but Geppetto was swallowed by a whale. The villagers ran to Pinocchio and said, "Pinocchio, Pinocchio, Geppetto has been swallowed by a whale." Pinocchio just looked at them and said, "I'm sorry, and Geppetto is?" "Geppetto, the woodcarver who made you?" Pinocchio just shrugged. "Shit happens," he said. Pinocchio decided to go to the beach to catch some rays, just as the whale spits out Geppetto. Geppetto cried out in joy, "Pinocchio, my son, you came to save me." "Why, you're a good boy after all." I guess I am," said Pinocchio. His wooden penis began to grow. "I'm not lying, I'm just attracted to those two chicks over there." The next day when Pinocchio woke up, he was finally a real boy, and he couldn't have been happier. He decided to find a new family, one that had an Xbox and fun shit like that. He found his new family immediately and changed his name from Pinocchio to Josh. The end. Come back next time when you'll hear the fable of Eleanor and her magic box of shit. Oh, and what of Geppetto? Well, he was sad, but kind of relieved. Almost like when a racist grandparent dies.